I'm going to have to do a little bit of video editing, which I hate doing, but sorry for making you guys stare at a screen that clearly showed us doing things but was not prepared for you. But you know how we do this. Roll call.
Kaya.
Ryan.
Mikey.
Kyle.
And Steven! Welcome back, everybody, to episode 43 of the Mole Master campaign, The Odd Jobs, part 2 of Eye of the Tempest. What was an audible play for us, turning into its own fantastic adventure. When we last left our favorite adventuring party of Mole Master, they had successfully defeated Vonquo, the mad earthen elementally infused mind flayer. Boy, that sounds like off-branding. After having defeated Vonquo in Mortal Kombat and put an end to his abomination of metal flesh and earthen elemental energy, the party rescued the remaining miners of the Falling Star Mine, reunited the Berry Pips, father and daughter, for the first time in many days, and had to come to a difficult decision on what to do with these emaciated miners. Many of them in no condition to brave the awful storm taking root in this area of the Forgotten Realms. Having little ability to move over 40 rather emaciated people, the party decided to press forward from the Falling Star Mines to the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, hoping that once they dealt with the problem there and the storm lessened, that the miners would have a much easier and much higher chance at surviving a travel back to Mole Master to regain their strength and rejoin their families and friends. In the meantime, the party decided to report their victory to King Iorn Ludwig-Khazar and the rest of the Ludwig-Khazar clans. Following Lerzona back to her father's soon-to-be final resting place, the party received a Dying King sword, as well as Jove received a belt of dwarven kind. There, Iorn repeated the tale of how he had found what we now know as Rassendel's blade, or Rassendel's sword, whichever one I called it, with him and his brother Boone Ludwig-Khazar many years ago. While a blade of great strength, Iorn used it to continue to wage war against the people of Mole Master, trying unsuccessfully to reclaim the Falling Star Mine for his people. This disagreement with his brother Iorn with his brother Boone, eventually led Iorn to banish his brother and claim full control over the Ludwig-Khazar Dryers. With great shame and great guilt over his folly, the king asked the party with his final breath if they would return the sword to his brother Boone and hopefully reconcile these brothers even past his death. The party spent the night reflecting, chatting amongst themselves, and preparing for the next leg of their adventure, with a few individuals having a number of dreams. In the morning, though, as our characters awoke, Joe found himself with the ability to grow the most phenomenal beard on the face of the earth, becoming more and more dwarf-like. Perhaps laying into rumors that stout halflings are just the offspring of halflings and dwarves. But, prejudice aside, the party made their way out from the Ludwig-Khazar dwarves, who had agreed to watch over the miners in the party's absence to ensure that no further harm came to these already hurried people. The party began to make their way through an old-fashioned hex crawl. Yes, indeed. Just like games of old, the party began making their way towards the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, but with some insistence from Jove, decided to make a slight detour towards a set of mountains in the middle of the Glacier of the White Worm, known as the Ice Teeth, hopefully to find Marika, a member of the Emerald Enclave and the last individual to have been in contact with Yavendel, another member of the Emerald Enclave, before her communication was cut short with Jove within Mulemaster. The party spent the day traveling, making the way through most of the mountainous terrains past the Earthspur Mountains. During one of their rests, the party, or as I believe specifically Jove, noticed a golden light that seemed to take notice of them and their small kind of cave encampment. However, the party continued to move across the glacier of the White Worm, a vast, crevice-laced and hazardous expanse of white ice and glaciers, spreading out across miles and miles of open wilderness, home to yetis, giant frost spiders, frost giants, remorazes, winter wolves, and so many more lovely fauna and plant life. The party traveled across the glacier of the White Worm before encountering this golden light and a number of ill-fated crevice fallings, before following deeper and deeper into the glacier, finally arriving at the outskirts of the ice teeth. However, this warm golden light seemed to be a herald of some sort, as the party was then ambushed / fell into the trap of a giant frost spider, a number of strange, what the party now is very familiar with, mephits, condensing their forms from the swirling icing storm around them. While the party was successful in defeating this ambush, including the golden light, the mephits, and one giant frost spider, Rornak, with a series of unbelievably bad rolls, found him...
At this point, it's kind of believable.
It's believable, but I'm just shocked that it happens, that it was like a sandwich, back-to-back crit fails.
Listen, it's like the last 3 sessions, guys. Okay, come on. It's been rough, though, for sure.
Indeed. But with some becoming more and more on-brand bad rolls. Rornak found himself at the bottom of one of these crevices, a web-infested hole, much like Jasper had done twice in the previous session. However, as Rornak looks down the dark, icy walls, he sees a set pairs of octuple eyes, bright and blue, beginning to crawl along the sides of this crevice, getting closer and closer, whilst the party looks down upon Rornak, tangled up in these webs. A large, 12-foot tall figure begins to push its way through the snow-encrusted gaze of the party. This massive, huge, almost... in some places, seemingly as large as this abomination that you all had just recently defeated. You see that there are a number of long bone fetishes carved from various different animals. Looks like tusks or horns or other strange organic materials, part ice, part organic, seem to hang off this individual. They seem to have some large object in their hand, clearly 5 feet in each direction, the size of a human man, you might even engage. Bright blue eyes peering out from kind of the darkness of this snowstorm as the sun begins to set, almost illuminating, nearly as bright as the golden orb that lured you into this area. At the top of initiative, to set the scene, Rornak, you are currently 20 feet below in a crevice, entangled in webs.
Now, I may be misremembering, but wasn't I able to attack the web?
You were
last
able to
time?
attack the web and free yourself. So, you are
Okay.
currently at the bottom. You are indeed correct. You had freed yourself by attacking the webs and breaking free of their hold. I believe at the... Oh, how could I forget to roll your initiative? The dice god smile upon me today. Where's my pen? Where's my purple DM pen? Oh, well, that's just gonna throw the whole thing off. Hold. Well, this isn't a crisis, but it's certainly not a crisis. Okay, hold on. I apparently was not prepared. Oh, there it is. All right, purple DMing pen back in hand. I believe we go to the top of initiative with Jasper.
Shit. So this tall guy, how far away is he?
Let's see. So you and Rornak relatively close to each other, with Rornak being the closer one to this giant individual. So you could say you gotta jump the 5 feet across this crevice at its thinnest parts, get across there, and probably move 20 feet over to what we're gonna refer to as the east, or to the right. And you could get to that person. So you will need to jump the crevice.
Yeah, I think she's gonna make the approach. So you said a dex or athletics?
This would be athletics.
Okay.
Yep, it's a long jump.
Oh, jeez. That is not a lot. I think that's 7. Yeah.
Make me a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. Oh my god. 12.
You begin falling. With a 12, however, you fall about 15 or so feet. Rornak, you look up to see Jasper's figure falling towards you. However, Jasper, you catch your feet on the side about 5 feet from where Rornak, and there's a as your slippers of spider climbing catch the wall, and you just slide down with them a little bit. You can almost feel the bits of ice kind of breaking underneath, and it's this weird look right now as Rornak is standing completely straight up, and you're standing completely straight up, and you guys are making a perfect T.
I meant to do that. Well, I guess now the spider is probably my main concern. Where is it right now?
Looking down the path, which seems more like a path to you, well, the optics of this one are boggling. You'd say they're probably about 50 or so feet away from you.
Okay. Not really sure the parameters of how my slippers work, but now's as good a time to test it as any. She's gonna kind of call out to Rory to hold on to her.
Let me ask you, what are you trying to accomplish on this one? Because I think I know where you're going with this one, but I want to know.
Just scale the wall with him on her shoulder, on like her back.
Okay. Let's have you make an athletics check right now.
Okay.
Do like the Cusco, like back to back up the wall thing.
Except for Rornak, he's just like getting picked up underneath like the arms and then just
Yeah,
like
literally.
raised upwards.
Athletics is a 16.
Okay, Rornak. A 16 is good. This will take your reaction to hold on to Jasper on this one, since this is going to be just a straight lifting upwards.
Absolutely. Absolutely. His full focus would be on this, so that totally makes sense.
Yeah, you guys, Emperor's New Groove style, in a weird 90-degree angle because of your bodies, and walk yourselves back up the crevice. We'll
Thank
say
you
since
so much.
that with your movement speed, Jasper, at a 40, coupled with, we'll just say, Rornek's own movement speed, and since it's 20 feet that way, you'll use the 5 action to go through there. You fell most of the distance. We'll say yes, you're able to get back to the top, and you and Rornek get back on your feet. Not in the spider crevice.
God, these slippers fucking rule. Alright, that's her
Turns out-
turn, I think.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Turns out being Spider-Woman is pretty useful after all. So.
Yeah, right?
Jove.
Especially against spiders.
Yeah, literally.
Spider Pig, Spider-Man. Jove, it is your move now. Unless, Jasper, I believe you still have your bonus action if you like.
She'll just, like... Yeah, I think she'll try to, like... Oh, she has no movement, though. I could bonus action dash and try to get up in the person's face again.
You could certainly try this whole thing all over again. Yes.
Let's fucking do it. She doesn't learn.
Let's go ahead and roll that athletics.
Oh my god. 12?
Huh! And you're in the exact same spot you were at. Just no Rornak there.
No.
Well,
Rornak, you see, Jasper, like, leaps down, like, ee! Like, from your angle, it almost looks cool. It's like she slides down the ice and then, like, grabs you and you, like, get all the way back up and, like, you're both feeling real fast, real light, real strong. And then she, like, nods to you, you nod back, and then, whoop, shoo, right back into it.
well,
Oh,
that's her
no.
turn.
Rornak, go ahead and roll me an insight check.
Will do. Did I go back down with?
No.
Jasper?
No,
Okay,
you're
okay.
fine.
Insight. Ooh, I rolled very low. That's only an 8.
Mink? She totally meant to do that on purpose.
All right.
So,
She's taking on the fight down there, I suppose.
yeah, she did it twice. She clearly did this on purpose. Once to get you out, another one to go back into the fight.
All right.
Jove, your move.
Yes. So did I mishear you? Did you say that the big thing is holding a person or
They're holding something that is the size of a person. It doesn't
I
appear to be like, it's not King Kong status, like they don't have the, a scantily clad woman in their right hand. But they are holding something that is almost the size of a person.
Okay, with that in mind, if Jove is able to kind of see that through the flurry of snow right now, we have, Freddie and I have felled all the enemies that are at ground level, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even really know that there's more spiders coming. So Jove is going to approach the crevice and, I don't know, can I take a closer look and try and pick out some. Mainly, he's thinking is if this thing is holding a human, that he's got to be a little more precise in how he throws his javelins. Is how I'm thinking about it.
Go ahead and roll me a perception check, Jove.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nat 20.
You look towards the arm, and it is not a humanoid person, or any person for that matter. It is what appears to be a jug carved from ice. And now that you're close, you can see there's just a vaguely orange-ish red hue to it. But with the nat 20, your eyes snap to kind of the chest of this large figure. And there, in the center of their chest, is the symbol of the Emerald Enclave.
Ooh wee.
A giant-sized symbol of the Emerald Enclave, the same as yours, displayed proudly on the chest. You see, upon further inspection, that this is a 12-foot tall female frost giant. Long, white and blue braided hair, a number of geometrical patterned tattoos covering the face and going down, arms which are surprisingly, or perhaps in this moment, unsurprisingly bare in the winter weather. As this large frost giant woman bearing the symbol of the Emerald Enclave stands in front of you. That's what your nat 20 will get you, Jove.
Beautiful. Then he'll go ahead and you said the storm was going pretty heavy, right? Like wind blowing. He's just deciding if he needs to use thaumaturgy to boom his voice to
You would feel right now, with how hard it is to hear or see anything outside of 30 feet from you, you would feel very confident that thaumaturgy would be a good bet.
Okay, then he is going to use his action to cast that, and he is going to boom his voice and say, I don't, was there, no, he wouldn't know Marika's rank, so he's just gonna call out, he's gonna, so he'll yell out, do you know of Yavendell? This is Joe Featherfoot, Summer Strider. And he's gonna try and kind of just like wave his spear up to really catch her attention, but also like not be pointing the business end at her. So he's gonna kind of boom his voice and really draw attention and try and make sure that he gets that Emerald Enclave out there, so his friendlies can also hear it.
Yes, with thaumaturgy, everybody clearly hears Jove yell this out. Large frost giant woman turns her head, and immediately the eyes snap to you, and they widen for a second. You have to see what her reaction is on her turn.
And then I'm gonna have Aquila, because I think she's probably a little more keen on this. You know, Jove is kind of just standing over, like, pretty close to the crevice, so I'm gonna have her be taking the dodge action and kind of dip her head to make sure that we don't have like a spider coming in to like fuck us right there.
Yeah, funny you should mention that. Because Aquila also sees a frost giant in front of her, and immediately uses her full action to run that way and go to attack the frost giant. You feel an anger well inside you, Jove. It's this strange moment where it's a completely foreign and alien anger. One that halflings do not typically possess. You speak the words, but then there's Aquila's feelings. As hot, ionized anger shoots from her into your body. You feel it pull at your muscles. As Aquila's going to use her full action to run and try to attempt to make a strike against the giant. So could I have you roll me an athletics check for Aquila to jump across the crevice?
Yes, she rolled a 16.
Boom, gets across. Go ahead and roll attack.
For her attack, she has that is an 11.
An 11. She goes to bite, and her teeth meet frosted, kind of like leathered shoes. It's like watching a small dog start to like bite at somebody in like work boots. It's like this, just and like Aquila is right on top of this and is trying her fucking hardest to get through to the frost giant flesh beneath these large frost giant boots to no avail. And whilst you can feel and you send out take the dodge action and everything, it is just blind anger from Aquila right now. You learn quite a new set of phrases in Draconic. If you weren't a hardier individual, you would definitely be blushing, but not in a good way. In like a, wow, you're crossing a lot of lines there, Aquila. It is, yes, in many ways. If you weren't so scared for what's about to happen to Aquila in the next moments, it would almost be comical. But that's what Aquila's going to do on putting her eyes to a frost giant.
Makes sense.
Luckily,
Well, that'll be our turn.
it is now, let's see. It is Rornak's turn.
Alrighty. First, Rornak, I remember you said that Irzarn was stuck in the ice when I fell, so Rornak will go and pick that back out of the ice before we forget that.
Make me an athletics check.
Of course. That is a 12.
On 12. 12 is just enough to dislodge Irzarn.
Nice. And then, definitely heard Jove earlier. Are there any, I forget, are there any of, like, the methods that are still around right now, or are those all taken care of?
No, they are currently disposed of.
Gotcha. I guess, and with him believing that Jasper's taking care of things, he will go ahead and... Do I have to... I guess he'll make his way over, kind of towards the giant, then. Do I have to pass over the chasm, or what did I already pass it with Jasper?
You are on the side with your party. The giant is on the opposite side of the crevice. So you would need to make the athletics check, much like Jasper did not and Aquila did, to get to said giantess.
Gotcha. Yeah. Rornak will then, he'll stay on this side and he'll move over towards Jove, and he'll keep Irzarn just kind of at the ready, holding an action, and he'll just kind of ask, so, do you think this one's safe or what? And he'll just kind of hold the line there on their side.
Okay. After Rornak is some spider turns. As with the booming of Joe's voice disrupting their focus, Jasper, you watch as multiple sets of octuple sets of eyes? Many pairs of 8 sets of eyes? Fuck, how do you say that correctly? Just more reasons to dislike spiders. Begin to crawl up towards the source of this noise, using their actions. Jove and Rornak, you see sets and sets of white and blue frosted, hair-covered spider appendages begin to grab at the top of the crevice, and you can see the long, ice-covered but venomously dripping fangs begin to scrape across the ice towards you. That's their movement. Luckily, the giantess goes next. As you see, she looks at you, Jove, and looks down at Aquila, reaches over and pulls the top off of this strange concoction, and then pours this steaming, bright red and orange liquid over the tops of these spiders. There is a psss, and you see like gouts of steam coming off of this concoction. Literally covers the entire visage of this frost giantess in front of you. As it touches the spiders, you can see and hear the sounds of burning, of a super hot liquid being poured onto before settling onto the bodies of these frost spiders, as they immediately, using their reaction, use their full movement speed to get as far away from this liquid as possible. It has this sharp, almost, I don't know if anyone's had the displeasure of knowing what crushed bug smells like. Let me tell you, it's horrendous. It's this weird, earthy, pingy kind of scent. And it's very similar to this one, as the smell of burning spider hair and mottled with spider flesh, and whatever excrements that they lay at the same time as they use their full movement speed as feared to move away from this. As the steam begins to kind of clear and move to the side, the giantess bends forward, bringing her large face close to you, Jove. You can see right now the intricate kind of geometric, think very like Icelandic style tattoos across the face, going down the arms, covering huge portions of her body. She gets very close. You can see these bright blue eyes kind of shining on you, almost enough of a light to like illuminate your face, and gets very close. You feel that kind of coldness emanating from her very form. And oh, you must be Jove! Hey! As she extends a hand out to you. Of course, her hand being the size of a wagon cart.
Yeah, Jove will daintily take a finger, I suppose.
You put like both hands around like a part of like the nail and a little bit of the flesh and try your best at like a full body shake. And she kind of moves one finger up and you feel your feet lift off the ground by about 1.5 feet. Before setting back down.
Well, I am indeed Jove. Are you Marika?
The one and only there, buddy. You guys aren't real good at the whole traversing the glacier, huh? Fell right into a whole pit of frost spiders and, yeah. Them lights, huh? Real pain in the ass, right?
Yeah, we ended up following one, which probably wasn't the best idea, and we were trying to hoof it across to, well, hopefully find you, so there's a little sliver of goodness there.
Oh, let me guess. You started a fire out in the cold, huh?
Yeah, we did. We definitely, we did that.
Amateurs. All right, follow me unless you want to hang out for the rest of their pack to come back. Remera's piss will only work for so long. Freddy, it is technically your turn in initiative.
I mean, I'm just gonna follow her. I mean, if she says that is taken care of and that we just need to get out of here, I'm just gonna follow the person who seems to know what they're doing.
That's a smart move. We'll say initiative is broken on that. However, as that goes, hey, Jove, could you, kind of lifts off a foot, and you see Aquila is still trying her bestest. She finally gets like a big thing of flat, and you see a chalk shoot through Marika. Oh, mama! And kind of and slams a foot down as kind of Polly kind of tenses.
Aquila, did you not just see how Marika saved all of our lives? Show a little respect, won't you?
I'm going to need you to make a persuasion check at disadvantage.
That is a 10. Flat 10.
Not going to do. You don't get words from Aquila. Not since the first time you called her out has she been this feral. It continues to go on. There's another kind of jolt in Marika. Hey, Joe, I'm being real honest here. You better call this one up. I don't want to crush a living creature just for the funs of it, but I swear if she... You see Marco pull up a real big foot with Aquila on it.
Aquila, what's wrong? What's going on?
What you receive is a wave of emotion. A wave of emotion of just pure, unadulterated hatred. You hear the name Giant Killer, Giant Slayer. But there's also a profound sense of mourning. A need to strike against these giants. For a second, you feel that kind of blending of you and Aquila's vision. And in front of Aquila is not some frost giant woman, but an army of giants. Joe, roll me an insight.
That's going to be a 12.
You remember feeling like this when you first arrived at Mole Master. When you would think about your time being captured by the Cult of the Dragon. When you remember how you and your father and your uncle and the people you cared close about were almost poisoned to death in a city that was not yours. You remember how it used to wake you up. How you saw a dragonborn in the market once and you froze. With the 12, you're pretty sure Aquila is having a PTSD-induced flashback. And that she is not going to stop.
With that in mind, he's gonna, since he's found that this kind of two-way emotional back and forth seems to be the best way to actually communicate with Aquila rather than trying to form words and speak to her that way, he's really gonna think as he is unsummoning her back into his body, he's really going to focus on all of those memories that Jove has that you just talked about. The taking of Flan by the green dragon, the feeling scared of seeing a dragonborn, and then he wants to put in that image of the first time he saw Aquila and how scared he felt then, and that literal warming that he's had to her over the adventures that they've shared together, and that thawing of the cold heart that he had towards, I'm forgetting the name of the dragon from the Flan campaign, but
Vorgan Shorax.
Vorgan Shorax, and feeling that softening, not to a puddle, but just a little bit of softening around the heart. As she re-enters his body through those electrical currents, through the elbow and into the back of the spine. And as that happens, I think Jove is going to put a lot of weight on his spear. And Rornak, since you're right next to him, you kind of see him almost like keel over a little bit, but he scoops up a little bit of snow and puts it on his face, and it flecks in his beard as he kind of tries to shake it off and looks just dazed.
You see a bit of that snow evaporates from Joe's face. It actually looks like his body temperature has raised. The parts of his skin that are briefly exposed seem to steam. Joe, make me a Constitution saving throw.
Well, I rolled shitty, so that's only an 8.
You have a 1 level of exhaustion. But you have successfully called Aquila back. As she returns, the most that she can get out is, Jove, I can't. And you feel this almost like a dormant state, a hibernation of sorts, a numbness that goes over Keela to protect herself and you as you feel just the weight of a rage that Aquila does not fully understand in this moment returns to you. But you have successfully called Aquila back for the time being.
And after rubbing that snow in his face and trying to shake it off, he's going to look up at Marika and say, well, sorry about all that. Or I guess she's already walking away, right? So at that point, he'll just kind of follow in tow.
You begin following Marika deeper into the ice teeth. This jagged set of irregular mountain peaks and passages, not nearly as tall as where the monastery stays, Rornak. Not nearly that tall. And not as expansive as the Urspur Mountains, but these rows of incisor-like peaks in the center of the Glacier of the White Worm. You can see in some areas providing enough cover for small bits of plant life. Hidden groves of hardy glacier fauna. Bits of spruce and pines and other, as you get deeper and deeper into the ice teeth, as the sun begins to set, the temperature continues to drop, the darkness begins to encroach. You can see that there are small touches of handiwork, places of further fetishes that are hung in different areas, places that have been carved out into the stone, providing shelter from the elements to store various nooks and crannies. You can see Marika's handiwork in every single kind of area, this cultivated space, a bastion of the barest remnants of civilization. However, after the better part of an hour of traveling, you finally reach Marika's abode. It is, in many ways, nothing more than a cave. However, there is a number of basic furniture, large rugs and what appears to be frost giant tapestries, at least one. But it doesn't appear there's any sort of grand displays or signs of wealth. Most of the things in here seem to have a practical purpose. The furniture is, of course, all predominantly giant-sized, but there even appears to be a small for a giant, but incredibly large for you guys, fire and chimney in here that has been carved in through the cave. You can see there's smoke rising up through it, and the temperature in here, compared to the outside, might be a blissful 10 degrees Fahrenheit. As you enter into Marika's cave, the sounds of the snow and the storm lessen. Temperature rises just a bit. There's no longer that violent shaking in your bones from the cold and spending an entire day going from one ill-heated stone cave to an entire day of crossing a glacier to now reaching a frost giant's abode. There's a moment as you see Marika begins setting down a number of charms and bone finishes that she wears, a large staff that must be at least 15 feet taller than even she is. leans up against one wall. She goes and begins to. There's a large, basic cauldron, shoddily made, almost as if somebody's taken a bunch of shields and hammered them together, and forced them into a bowl shape. So, you're Jove. You know, I figured you would be a lot smaller.
Well, Yavendale didn't mention that you were a frost giant, so I have to admit I was imagining you being a lot smaller too.
Oh, you know, unfortunately for frost giants, I am a bit on the small side.
Well, for halflings, I'm a bit on the big side, so here's to outsiders, I guess.
Huh. That's a fun way of looking at it. Well, welcome in. You already know me, Marika. Summer Strider of the Emerald Enclave, representative of the Glacier of the White Worm. Although I have petitioned for them to change off Summer Strider. Ice Strider seemed more appropriate, you know?
I'd agree with that. These folks are the odd jobs, my companions. I'll let them introduce themselves.
You see Marika's giant body turns to the rest of you. Jasper and Freddy, by comparison to the rest of the journey, you've stayed in some of the nicest places that Bowmaster has to offer. But in the middle of the Glacier of the White Worm, after all of that absolute nonsense getting across, this is the nicest place you've ever been in.
Jasper.
Nice to meet you, Jasper. Go full face covering. That's smart. It'll keep your ears and nose safe.
Right? It's so much better.
Oh, you with the other mask. Surprised that you're not wearing more clothing there, buddy.
Well, the name's Rornak. I actually spent a number of years over at the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, not far from here. And if you would believe it or not, I have trekked across this glacier.
Oh, second time's the charm, huh? That makes sense, less clothing on the second time around.
Strangely enough, second time has been more of the learning experience. First time, I guess I kind of just winged it when I really think about it.
Moving alone on the glacier has its own advantages, especially if you're not constantly making fires. That's the big one. Big sources of heat, real bad on the glacier.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like if you put the sun in a cave, really fuck things up.
That makes sense. I did know from past experience that the spiders were no joke, so thanks for your help on that one. As he shudders a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Kind of a symbiotic partnering that they got. Not all adventurers make it out of the glacier. Some are really mad about getting got by them spiders. Then their spirits hang around, and then you get one will-o-wisp makes another will-o-wisp, and all the spiders love it because it's just free food. The will-o-wisp eats the soul, the spiders eat the body. Fascinating bit of nature, really. Obnoxious, but fascinating.
Lovely, when you're not the one getting eaten, I suppose.
Yeah, really, it's quite the study. I've had fascinating bit. She puts a hand over to what you see, like a, really kind of simple bookshelf with a bunch of giant-sized, like, parchments and scrolls all set up there, all kind of rough, irregular, no seeming kind of rhyme or reason to it, but dozens upon dozens of these giant-sized scrolls. Oh, sorry, no need to be rude. You there with the fancy fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, hiya. Marika, nice to meet you, yeah.
My name's Fred. They call me Freddy.
Yeah, Freddy? That's a good name. Yeah, Freddy, you got it.
So, Marika, thanks for coming down and saving our hide down there. That would have been bad for all of us. You know, I'm not sure if Yavendell told you that she had been in contact with me, but the last time I was talking to her, she was saying that there was a wicked storm up here, and it seems that that part's true enough. And while we were talking, our connection got caught short. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I came up is well, just wanted to make sure she's doing all right.
You know, I would love to give you the answer that she's doing A-okay, but I haven't seen her in days. So your guess is as good as mine, Jove. I was kind of hoping that she sent you to give me the A-okay.
Well, did she leave in a hurry? Did she say anything about where she was going?
You know, why don't you go ahead and take a seat, Jove? This one's gonna take a second. I'll assume that the rest of you guys haven't had anything to eat, eh? Kind of looks to the rest of the party.
That would be correct.
Well, unless you've got better plans, why don't you take a seat? Let's get some food in you, and Jove, let's talk about some Enclave business. Not particularly pleasant either. Sorry about that.
Nope, not all business is pleasure, so I appreciate your hospitality.
You see Marika goes over and gets 2 giant-sized bowls and gets one big kind of portion for herself, sets it at her table. There's no human-sized furniture in here. So, Joe, it's like everyone else gets to recognize what it's like to be in your body for a day. And she doesn't really have adventure-sized bowls, so she just sets the second kind of bowl down. It's about the size of a jacuzzi. You can see there's like huge chunks of meat that are the size of what would be like the whole family portion is floating in as her chunks, and you can see other bits of like hard roots and like really like what would be thin by comparison like roots in there, but are just massive. But it does have kind of this hearty, fatty smell to it, which is a little bit of this kind of earthen spice to it. And the steam just immediately washes over you, increases the temperature. You can like all put your hands on it like the outside of an actual jacuzzi, and like the heat wafts off it and begins to warm your whole bodies. Like a full bit of heat and substance for like the past 3 days of travel. Not since you left the threshold by the fire inn. The Ludwigazars were hospital, but it was just an ice cave surrounded by dying dwarves. This is an actual meal. So you all begin to have to ladle and piece out your chunks of giant-sized soup. Marika kind of takes a seat. So, you said that, the last thing you heard for Yavendell was when we were heading up towards the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, right?
That's correct.
Well, bit of a problem for me on that one. See, I could only follow her to the base of the mountains. That enters into Frost Giant territory, and while the monastery gets its own bit of land, I'm not allowed in Frost Giant territory anymore. She continues. Yavendell wanted to continue to investigate, seemed like the source of the storm was coming from the monastery. However, while we can both change our forms, flying's not really my strong suit. And I didn't figure like getting in fight with the rest of... And you see your eyes kind of roll off. The rest of my brethren for trespassing. I mean, what good are they? Frost giants are only good for fighting and fucking anyways. I mean, when was the last time you met a frost giant bard, or a frost giant poet, or a frost giant philosopher, or a frost giant I'm not going to get onto it again. I've already had that argument with the clan plenty of times. Anyways, Yavendel wanted to get a closer and look. She knew I couldn't help her. So the last I saw of her, she flew straight into that storm and never returned. I was hoping that she may have been able to escape or make her way back to Momaster. Maybe got thrown off course considering, she's really, really, really small, and then she turns into even smaller creatures, and I just didn't really see any of the efficiency of turning into a sparrow flying into a snowstorm. But, Yavendel, once she makes up her mind, you can't really stop her.
Ain't that the truth?
We're able...
Mark, now, how long has this storm been raging up here?
Well, there's always storms around this time of year. However, the unnaturalness started about 10 days ago is when the storm first hit us. However, I'd say, well, about a day after Yavendel disappeared, that's when things started to really kick off. Visibility's gone to shit. It's driving off tons of the wildlife. I'm worried it might even awaken the white worm, which would be really bad.
What's it take to wake the white worm?
If we knew exactly what it took to wake the white worm, nobody would ever do it. Unfortunately, the white worm doesn't care about what anybody thinks except itself. See, the reason it's named the Glacier of the White Worm is that there is one Remoraz. Larger, stronger than all the rest. Depending on who you ask, all the Remorazes that live out here now are descendants of it. They say it's so huge it could make even the largest of storm giants small in comparison. Says that its whole body wraps around and makes the barrier of the glacier. Now, have I found any evidence of it? No. What there is evidence, though, is that there's a huge number of Remorazes are being disturbed because the storm won't let up. It's killing any of the outside prey that they usually would feast upon, and now they're getting aggressive. Lack of food, lack of resources, nature gets aggressive.
Well, this is dire news.
Oh, I wouldn't worry too much about the white worm. I still think it's a legend. However, the Remoras is not so much. Especially if you're planning on going to the Monastery of the Yellow Rose. It's not really a matter of if you'll see one of them, more of a matter of when.
Oh, well. That's wonderful. Now, we do need to be getting towards that Monastery of the Yellow Rose for a few reasons, notwithstanding checking in on Yavendel. I can't in good conscience have the person that welcomed me into the Armored Enclave be left for dead. not throwing any accusations your way. I understand there's prevailing factors that keep you from going in there, but should my companions still want to keep forward with this adventure, with this journey here, is there any way that you might be able to give us the same treatment you did to Yavendale? Get us towards that close to that border as you can before setting us off on our way?
Can you all change your forms like Yavendale can?
Oh, not. I don't think unless somebody's got some secrets that they've been holding. I can't even change my form.
I can act like I'm somebody else.
He's a real chameleon. It's
You wouldn't even know it's me.
All right, let's see it.
Hello, I'm a noble of Mulmaster. I had to put that voice on for years. You wouldn't
Whole
believe it.
different person. Incredible.
you
Yep.
disappeared into the role there, Freddy.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good bit right there. I don't think it's gonna do you much good out on the glacier. And unless
it
you
also takes a bit out of me. I'm kind of pooped after that one.
Two heavy nose breathes.
So, are you saying that the only path you know needs to be carried on two wings?
It's a whole lot easier, although I usually just change my form into a Remoraz and then burrow underneath. Unfortunately, my body would burn you all, and the collapsing cave system behind me would crush you even if you survived the burns. Not really a good way to travel. Now, I can show you the way there by this. You see that she pulls out a fairly inaccurately detailed map of the Glacier of the White Worm. Looking on, you can see that there are a number of areas over towards Damara and the eastern side that are marked off. Areas of like huge crevices, known Rebraz hatchling areas, polar bear breeding grounds, and of course, heavily marked in areas, frost giant encampments.
Well, this is certainly of great use. Are you saying that you'd let us borrow this?
I don't think. I would ask you where you would carry it. It's, she like holds it out, and considering I could roll you guys up in here and put you as a blanket.
Right, giant sized.
Sorry.
No, that's completely that's all right. I'm actually been working on some of my navigation skills. I hate to be a burden on a fellow summer strider, but might we take the night to rest up here, and perhaps I can study this map a touch and at least jot some notes down, and even if I don't have a perfect picture of where we're going, at least keep us out of some of these traps along our way.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to kick you back out into the glacier after sundown after you nearly got eaten by a bunch of frost spiders. Even if I wasn't a member of the Emerald Enclave. It's
Very
cruel.
warm and kind of you. I appreciate that.
Well, luckily I'm not like my brethren. Or else they would have totally let you gone out there just to do it for sport. Real bastards there. Fighting, fucking, stealing Remoraz eggs. That's pretty much it. That's all frost giant culture for you.
So they would probably not take too kindly upon finding us in their territory.
Oh, well, they either find it really funny, and if you can get them to laugh, they'll probably leave you be. Or they'll probably sick a winter wolf on you and see who gets to eat who first. 50-50 shot with frost giants. They got a real fucked up sense of humor.
Oh, not the worst odds we've faced.
Yeah, I still wouldn't really recommend it on that one. Yeah, if you do kill the winter wolf, then they'll be so mad that you killed their winter wolf that they'll probably try to stomp you themselves. And, well, let me just tell you, frost giants don't do the whole concept of fair fighting. Oh, and don't let one put you in its mouth. I'll tell you right now, it is not an actual place to keep you safe and warm on long travels. You'll just freeze on the inside.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, it's a real nasty prank frost giants like to pull. Find somebody who's nearly frozen to death, offer to take them back. All you have to do is crawl in my mouth. It'll keep you warm, and it'll heal you while we get back to it. But instead, they just freeze to death in there, and then if they're feeling real cheeky, it's just a quick snack.
Oh, your people are full of surprises.
Really kind of explains itself after a while, you know. By the way, Jove, Yavendel did discover something.
Yeah,
Whilst
what
we
was
were
that?
doing our reconnaissance, she came across something. And I have a photo for you guys. Give me 1 second. See if it'll give it to me. Ah, yes. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Also not what I wanted. Copy image. There it is. Brings you what appears to be a bone and feathered fetish in this symbol. Party, go ahead and roll me Arcana or Religion.
$15 religion.
15 religion.
13
14
Arcana.
religion.
The three of you on Religion initially take this as a symbol of Akaldi, who is the neutral goddess of air. Very much like the Ludwig Khazar's Grumbar. The Lady of the Airs is what she is often referred to. However, Freddy, with your 16, and your previous experience with Thrundrazi, recognize that as a clear symbol of Yansi Bin.
Yancy Ben. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that's the air thing.
Great, some more cultists?
I mean, is that a surprise?
No.
Seems to just kind of be like Molmass is a tree and all the roots are cultists.
You know, I've heard that's a saying in Mole Master.
You know, since you're a friend, I'm gonna let you know now. It's actually Flan that has all the Green Thumb sayings.
Oh, okay. What's Flan?
It's like a city. Well, not anymore. It was like a city. On the north side of the. You know what a lake is?
A bunch of unfrozen water, right?
Okay, so you do have a concept of unfrozen water. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lake near here. And we're on like the north side. Actually, it's like a sea. It's a big lake. So seas are like big lakes. So yeah, this is like on the north side. It's just a city that's, comparable to Molmest because they're close. I mean, they're not really the same city though. They're not like comparable culture-wise, but like location-wise, they're close. So if you're from Molmest, chances are that you've at least heard of Flan or like know somebody from the.
Oh, it's like the differences between what you would find as a standard equivalent of a glacier polar bear compared to what we would know as cave bears that reside closer to the Earth spur mountains. They look like and they are kind of the same creature, but not at all because of where their habitats and proximities are. I get it now. Flan is the cave bear of Mole Master's polar bear. Got it.
Was the cave bear. Like I
Was
said,
the
it's
cave bear.
not really a bear anymore, if we're sticking with your analogy.
Oh. Well, Glacier takes all good things eventually. Sorry to hear about your bear town.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, Mark, I know you spend a lot of time up here, but as a fellow Emerald Enclave member, you probably should be knowing, if Yavendell hasn't let you in on it, that there's seems to be significant cult activity that's been going its way throughout this region. We've seen earthy motherfuckers. The whole city of Mulmaster almost got destroyed in a big fireball type thing. There's been a lot of watery shit too. Pretty much just about everything except haven't seen too much airy shit. So seemed about right that this would be where this comes from. But all that's to say is that if there's shit that something can do up here to fuck shit up, it's likely that the cult is, I don't know, maybe trying to wake up that white worm of yours.
It's now that you say that, I didn't understand what Yavendell was going on about. But she said that she was afraid that they were constructing a node. An elemental node. Does that ring a bell to you guys?
Yeah, that's almost definitely what they were doing.
Yeah.
Well, what's an elemental node? She
Okay,
said
so
it was like a...
a node is like a campfire. You know how like in the frost there's just like cold and dark, and then a fire comes along. It's like, oh, there's light and heat. A node is like that. It's like a point of being, and then an elemental node is just like really infused with a lot of that elemental energy. And if the symbol is there, it's probably they're infusing it with some kind of air element.
So you think that in your monastery, there's a giant windy campfire that a bunch of people worshipping Yanbing are trying to make a big campfire to wake up the white worm. Do I have that right?
Sounds like their MO. They do like waking things up, and they do like waking the wrong things up.
Well, that just sounds real stupid. You could do the same exact thing by capturing some Remoraz eggs, hatching them to incubation, and letting them run free in a populated area. It just seems like a lot of oversight on their part.
Yeah, we never said the cultists were smart.
Or stable in any way.
True.
Of course, who would choose air as their element of choice?
Well, hold on.
It's unsubstantial. Can only do one thing with it. Blow real hard. So I just think that there's a lot more uses of it. I just think with like water would be far more useful. It comes in multiple forms. You'll die if you don't have some every at least 3 days. Just saying, out of all the elements they could have chose, that just seems like the weakest.
I mean, technically, wouldn't you need air to breathe too, though?
I hadn't thought about that.
And also, if you think about it, air is one of the stronger elements. You would think it would be earth, but think about air. It can't be halted by any force. It's persistent through everything.
If that were true, then I wouldn't be able to keep this fire going in here. But this, earth wall seems to be keeping the wind off just fine.
No, I'm breathing just fine. Where's that air coming from?
I'm sorry. Was being a big fan of the air like supposed to be a bad thing earlier? I'm just saying. I'm feeling confused now. I'm feeling kind of attacked at this point in time.
talking shit about air in general. You're okay to talk shit about air cultists, just not air. Kind of need that.
Oh, you're a singer, aren't you?
I'm a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, that would explain that. I get it now. Yep. What's a singer without air? Makes sense. It's like asking what a giant is without their size.
I was gonna say what's a giant without BO, but yeah, size 2.
Giant without BO. What does BO stand for?
Body odor. It's like a unique scent that you give off.
All things have a BO. What things don't have a BO?
But giants have a unique one. You know.
No, please continue on further.
You have a unique stench.
What does it
You
smell
smell
like?
like a giant. A giant.
Well, what does a giant smell like? Do I say you just smell like human?
Yeah.
No. You all
Okay.
smell different. I just feel like you're being really reductive of an entire species of people here. Guess I'm not down to defend them, but do I smell? Do I smell right now?
Not bad. You smell like a giant.
Smell like cold and dedication.
Damn right, Monica.
Love the
It
smell
ain't
of
easy
dedication.
living up here. Freddie, you always smell like something. It's called dedication.
Marika comes in and smells you real hard, Freddy. You feel like you're in like going through a wind tunnel. The dedication kind of smells like dookie.
I thought I'd changed my pants since then, but I mean the spiders were a little scary.
Yeah, getting popped up by those cold methods either, and then the whole necromantic orb thing. I've had some really bad experiences with orbs and necromancies and purpley sands, and unsurprising. So, what is your guys' plan after leaving my abode?
Well, I think it's going to be taking some of this advice off of this map, and we're going to be heading our way towards the Monastery of the Yellow Rose. Luckily, Rornak spent some time up there, so hopefully, he can help us as we get closer to it. But if Yavandel's up there, and Mark, really, this is a big issue here that we're going to be dealing with. Well, we just got done finishing up some cultists down near the Ludwigazar dwarves, and whatever was down there cooked up this abomination of earth and flesh, and hell, it was just about as big as you. Not as good looking or as good as a conversationalist, but still, it was wreaking havoc. And had we not been there, who knows what it could have been doing. So, if this air cult is as good as any of the others, they're going to be trying to unleash something not only on your territory up here, which you're in charge of, but everything that lies below as well. So really our only way to go is forward.
Well, alrighty then. Then you all rest for the night. I got plenty more stew coming if you're still hungry. You guys look, your bowl is hardly touched at all, even after having as many portions as you friggin' want. I think I know one way I can help y'all. Or at least maybe can help you avoid the worst of what the glacier has to offer. Have you ever heard the story of Maval?
Don't think I have.
Maval? Well, depending on who you ask, either used to be a member of the monastery of the Yellow Rose. Some say comes from the snow itself. Others say that he was a frost giant that wished to understand the small folk, and thus made a deal to rid himself of such things. No matter who tells the story, the ending is always the same. Maval will find those lost in the glacier and ask them to prove their self-reliance. He always has some sort of impossible task. One story says he once asked a couple to show their love by showing each other their real hearts. And when they couldn't succeed, he ripped their hearts out of their chests in front of them. There's another story of encountering a group of warriors who were said to possess great skill. And he challenged them to ride the Remorazes. The fools were burnt from their feet on upwards until their bodies fused with the Remorazes themselves. No matter what, if you see the husk of a man with one blue eye and one yellow eye, you do your best to run. It says that he's attracted to those who travel alone across the glacier. For those who are near their death, reaching the final cold. While you are traveling towards the monastery, I'll make a trek to the eastern side of the glacier. Some people might call it superstition, but the glacier is home to more than just beasts. It's home to real monsters. Well, if you need anything, I'll just be working on this stew. Oh, good night. You see, Marika begins going through, collecting her stock, adding some more, scraping off some of the fatty bits of the meat, storing it in what appears to be like a box with more kind of just this amorphous fat in there. Opens up and there's just that heavy lard smell that fills the cave. And you guys are given the evening at Marika's.
Good soup.
+1.
Thank you.
So are we fighting Yugi and the Pharaoh? Is that really who Yancy Bin is? Because all I see is the Millennium Puzzle right now.
I mean,
Thoughts for this arc is just to beat Dom in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling.
Yes, so we can just send him to the Shadow Realm. Fuck.
does that make
Did you guys steal my DM notes? What the fuck, guys? I thought we had a love player
didn't
trust
completely-
here.
The problem was you didn't completely deafen me when you were going over the stuff with Roran.
Damn it, Ryan. I thought I asked you to double check. Well, we've been had. All right, rocks fall, everybody dies. Roll up new characters. We'll see you next week.
Here we go.
I banish you all to the Shadow Realm.
I think Jove is cold and feeling brooding, and so he's just gonna load up his pipe and try and think of home and the feeling of grass beneath his feet in Featherdale and blow out some of his favorite smoke monsters that his gaffer would to impress him as a child and just try and focus on distant things.
You know, Jove, if you're gonna make a Sawagwin warrior priest, you need to make sure they've got more dorsal fin. You kind of think in your head as you blow out kind of this like sea monster, and it's got like a little tiny fin on it. And you try it again and give it like a ridiculously large like dorsal fin, like that shark you met on the riverless outside of Mulemaster, and the small idea of Gaffer Caldwell giving you advice on smoke monsters brings an upturn to the corners of your lips. As Jove relaxes, or at least fondly thinks of his time with his gaffer and his pipe of smoke monsters, what do the rest of you do? You still have a predominantly full jacuzzi-size bowl of stew. Number of large giant scrolls and furniture and the likes. No lack of furs and other, just like a trapper's dream inside of a house, but more eco-friendly. What would the
Yeah,
rest of you like to do?
after consuming her body weight in soup, she just grabs a bunch of furs and cocoons somewhere.
Yeah, you watch Jasper go for 1 bowl of soup, 2 bowls of soup. Jasper, roll me a d6.
Okay.
6 bowls of soup.
3.
3 bowls of soup later. Jasper you eat this 3 bowls of soup, listen to these tales and kind of this back and forth about which element is better. You know, the fact that you need air to breathe, or else what's the point of having any of the other elements? You feel that you feel the itis. Feel this heavy, thick, fatty soup sit in, and for the first time in days, you're wrapped up in furs, fully fed. There's no wind on you. Even the howling seems to be muted in here. And you know what? For being the closest you've ever been to a giant, specifically a frost giant, it's very comforting. You feel it's actually safe to take a rest here.
She is very pleased.
And sleep comes to you faster than the rest. It's not long before you hear a... Marker turns over. Oh, hey, I didn't know that we were going to have a pull. Damn, she's a loud snorer. Here, hold on a second. You see, she takes what appears to be like a full size, kind of like wolf pelt, and just puts it over the top of Jasper's head. There's like a muffled. Okay, that's much better. Continues about her evening duties. Jasper, in your dream, you feel like you're just being smothered by giant balls of warm fur. Like toss. It's like that super slow dream where it's like trying to turn and run, your body's super slow, and you all see Jasper slightly move underneath these multiple belts covering the muffled sounds of her snores. Rornak and Freddy, what about you? She watched Jasper going to a food coma.
I don't
Yeah, I'll
know
take-
if Freddy... Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, wow.
Jinx, hold
I'll
on,
go.
hold on. No, roll off.
We have to roll
Rollies.
off, Yeah, I was gonna
Yes.
say,
Okay.
the only way to settle a jinx.
That's a just flat D20. That's a 6.
Well, that gives me high hopes. 17.
Yep, go
Um,
ahead, Freddy.
Yeah, I also load up on soup. Um,
Roll me a d6.
yeah. I mean, we just came in from the cold, and nothing's better than warming up yourself with some soup.
Frost giants really know how to live out here. Yeah, you get through 2 and find that Ida setting in pretty heavy as well.
Yeah, and I'll just curl up and play some music and kind of have just like like floating visual effects floating around me. And then as I'm starting to go to sleep, I'll just cuddle up with Johnny and pet him and go to bed.
As you're kind of playing, got kind of a light beat. We'll say it's not unreminiscent of the song playing right now. Just kind of this trailing, listing tune, and ever so slightly you hear a dull thud, 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 in time as Marika's foot taps across the pelts on the floor. In tempo. Before sleep eventually takes you, and you all see Freddy, cradling his instrument in one arm and Johnny in the other arm, leaned up using Jasper's curled up in giant pelted covered form as kind of like a backdrop to use against and lean up against, and that kind of nice rested, looks like one of those Renaissance paintings, like accidental Renaissance of the bard, like sleeping on what looks like a beautiful pile of furs, which is actually just the covered up form of his sister. Then there's Rornak.
Yeah, Rornak will definitely have a bowl of soup for himself. And after that, he's curious about those scrolls since they were mentioned to him. So he is gonna just take a look through some of them before he's done for the night.
Oh, was there something you wanted to look for specifically there, Rornak? Marika kind of looks over as you're looking at these giant-sized scrolls.
Nothing in particular, just kind of curious with what you've done here. I mean, anything of particular note you want to show?
Oh, well, I've got the extension on the different wildlife around in the Glacier of the White Worm. I've done a great job cataloging the many different varieties of species and creatures that call this area home. I suppose if you wanted to be better prepared for your journeys forward, I've got quite an impressive catalog of Remoraz statistics. Would you like to see?
I'm not usually a numbers person, but it might not hurt to know about that with where we're going, so yeah, why not?
Oh, excellent. I haven't got to show anybody my illustrations that come with it either. And so Marika begins pulling out a number of scrolls, and you see that they are relatively, and I don't mean relatively, they are phenomenally illustrated diagrams of Remoraz, their biology and anatomy. You learn a number of things about Remoraz's Rornak. You know that Remorazes are immune to both cold and fire. They can see in the dark, and they also have a tremor sense. You also know from Marika's research and understanding that they have an incredibly heated body, which allows them to burrow through the glaciers so effectively. And that, when you make a melee attack against these creatures, that there is usually a corresponding amount of fire damage, that their blood, urine, saliva, and other bodily fluids are incredibly hot, enough to burn most individuals. You even see kind of the notes of Marika using Remoraz bodily fluids to drive off other creatures, such as frost spiders, polar bears, winter wolves, so on and so forth. That their bodily fluids make for a great deterrent to other creatures in the Glacier of the White Worm.
Very nice. And you said they were immune to fire and cold, correct?
They are indeed.
And they had blind vision. Was
They
that?
have both dark vision and tremor sense.
Oh, tremor sense. Okay.
Yes, they do not need to see you to see you. In many ways, you see as like Marika's kind of going through almost this like college lecture of like the anatomy and physiology of remorazes, their breeding practices. You know, here's the 10 different ways to use remoraz fluids. You know, from things such as cleaning to animal repellent, and in some cases, a spicy addition to your food if you're willing to suffer a little bit of damage.
Too hardy for me, but maybe not at the same time. But maybe try that another day.
And you can see that there is a lot of excitement from Marika talking about it. A lot of just genuine passion for the wildlife here, for her life here out in the ice teeth. It's just a very deep respect for the nature here, even though it is deadly and aggressive. It's also beautiful, serene at many times, and that all the creatures here are a wondrous solution of nature to this incredibly difficult and dangerous plot of land. The self-reliance, the endurance, the preservation of these creatures is really respectable. There's that kind of part of you that sees a lot of similarities of that, that endurance, that perseverance, that ability to endure the harshness. And you can't help but to feel a kinship to some of these creatures out here. Their ability just to endure the worst of what the world has to offer.
Definitely a found respect with that. And I think even after the lecture, Rornak would thank her and would step out to take just a very small meditation, just kind of reflecting off that, focused on the glacier itself before also turning up to the night sky, reflecting on it a bit, and then calling it a night afterwards.
As you are meditating, you do hear kind of a clink in your possession. The sound of objects thudding against a wooden box.
Rornak will reach out for his Ilmater augury box and will open that up during his meditation.
Inside the box, you see that your red twine has twisted around many of the small pieces, creating what appears to be like a cross shape inside your box, with 4 points, equal distance, like a plus sign. And in the center, you see the very smallest piece of bone in your box, twisted up at the center, bound by these 4 points. And just for the briefest of moments, the wind hurls around you, pulls at the objects in your box, and you feel like you can ever so slightly taste ion in the air, as if a great storm had just erupted from the box itself. You feel a profound sense of woe looking at this structure, Rornak.
Rornak kind of just looks over it and takes a moment to take it in and take note of a clear sign from Ilmater and a clear message. And yeah, feels like it's probably not a bad thing that he learned so much about something he was maybe going to come across here. But yeah, I think after that he will then still retire for the night. but a little on edge, knowing that things are not perhaps safe right now.
You take your message from El Mater. Whilst worrying, of course, it's always comforting to know that, especially after your battle the day before, that his presence is still there. That bit of worry you had about what or who Rornak is, should you succeed. Unironically, it's kind of that moment in Endgame where Thor calls for the hammer and returns.
I am worthy. I am.
Similar to that, as in Rornak still can feel the presence of El Mater. You turn back in and begin to head to sleep. And how about we take a quick 5-minute break here to use the restroom, replenish snacks and drinks before we head into our next day of travel and adventure.
Huzzah.
All right, I'm going to leave the sound in and stuff on, but put us on our Be Right Back screen. Solid. All right, see you all in 5 minutes. I have returned. Skilly doo doo bop.
YouTube bop.
Yep, doo doo bop. They're having a doo doo bop kind of session. Also, great RP so far, guys.
Yeah.
Really crushing it. Well played. Everybody's doing a great job. I know I say that a lot, but I'll only stop saying it if it stops being true.
We got Thai food for dinner tonight.
Oh,
And, the option of mild, medium, hot, or Thai hot. I went with hot, and I'm not let down with my decision.
You know what? Good, because let me tell you, the last 3 times I've gotten Thai food and asked for the Thai hot, I feel like I got white people Thai hot, which is not Thai hot. It feels really disingenuous and insulting.
I feel like you have to like develop a rapport at a place before they give you the full Thai.
Like,
I've heard some like food podcasts say that exact same thing.
I get it. I've got the complexion of whiteout, so I'm sure they're just trying to protect me. Fools.
This is good. Like every bite you take, you can like taste the pepper that you're biting.
I like a good flavorful spicy too. Like, it doesn't always just have to be nuclear challenge level
Right.
class.
No, I got some Emilio's yesterday, and their suicide sauce is, like, perfect. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. They also have the weirdest honey hot, like, I've ever had. And it's like, where's the honey? This has got the hot, but where's the honey? This is just thick buffalo sauce.
Where's the honey?
Exactly. If I ask for honey hot, I want honey hot. Santisi Brothers still has the best honey hot wings, hands down. There you go, free advertising, Santisi Brothers on the I-17 Bell Road. Been going to that
Right.
bar for wings since I was fucking 6. Probably even beforehand. Yeah, but that's just the first big memory is at 6. Thanks, Dad.
Anytime I hear someone talking about a freeway intersecting with Bell Road, I can't help but think of the Shane Co. commercials.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Shane Company, Scottsdale Road in Tacoma, 1 mile south of Bell Road. Open weekdays till 8, Saturday and Sunday till 5. Online at shaneco.com.
For those of you who are not Arizona natives, that probably sounded really weird. But for those of you who are, welcome home.
Welcome.
Honestly, when
If you are from Arizona, you know that ad as well as I do.
Yeah.
Hey, that's where Evelyn and I
ingrained.
bought our wedding band, so you know.
Like,
South of
honestly,
Tacoma?
Wow.
Yeah,
You
1
had
mile
a
south of
friend.
Bell Road?
exactly.
You had
You're
a
very
friend
well.
in the diamond business.
I did.
Shinko. Wow. All crazy.
well, it's not just Shane Kona, it's Shane Co. and Sons. Because now all the
True.
Sons have taken over.
It doesn't
They
flow
all-
as well, though.
It doesn't, but they sure as fuck tried. Before then they removed that and then just put in the old ads.
You even, like, it's Shane Co., Shane Company. Like, it's a company. I didn't think
I-
it was one person to begin with.
I assume that your sons have the last name Shane.
Right.
Like, I assume that they'll still be able to work with the moniker Shane Co. Like, I think it'll still work.
Shane Co. and Sons Incorporated, Ltd.
Do they even try to sound like their dad? Because that's the thing, you know. You got.
Can anybody truly sound like that? I mean, not everyone gets blessed the way Ice Cube did with a carbon copy of himself as a son.
True.
Because, sweet God, Ice Cube's son was like, wow, that's crazy. I look like my dad, but not the way you do, son.
What's Ice Cube's son's name? Slushy? Heyo.
It's actually crushed ice. Because he's just a piece of the cube.
Oh, okay.
That
Cool.
was my joke.
All right, that's enough grat on Ice Cube's son. Unless we got more. And if we got any more puns, I'll give you a +1 if you
I'll
do.
all over Ice Cube's son.
Give me a good one, I'll give you a +2 right now. If you can stand to deliver me a fuego Ice Cube son pun right now. But if you fail, I'm taking -2. High risk, high reward. Also, I went a little different with the music choices today. I figured I'd switch it all up. Get less of those hard synth vibes and try to be a little more orchestral. Less,
I'm liking it.
yeah, less like Elder Evils, more dark winter solstice. Although this is a little upbeat for my taste. Okay. I assume since everybody's off mute, we can jump back into it. Solly?
Sure.
Solid.
Yes.
We have returned. Although, if anybody was listening, we've been here for a second. So, and then let's see. Hold on. If I've timed this right. Beautiful. That's the end of that song. You all rest in Marika's abode for the evening, in actual place of safety, nominal warmth, in gigantic, absurd soup sizes. You all have various dreams. Rornak, you dream of the monastery, of your time there, but with your whole self now. You think back on the difficult first year you spent at the monastery trying to put your body back together, of trying to make it feel right, of now which you understand why it took you so long to get back on your feet. For Freddy, your mind returns back to Flan. At first, a never-ending stream of vegetable and plant-related jokes stemming from Flan. Some true, some machinations of your own mind. Before it replays the same scene that is played through your dreams when you think on Flan. Night after night, day after day. The sight of that giant shadow passing over the sky, blotting out the sun. The sound of Valjevo Keep crumbling underneath its claws. And last words of your father. Simply telling you, "Run, Freddy. Run, my son." Before the green mists of Oregon Shorax's breath separate the two of you. Jasper. You have a dream of traversing the streets of Mulmaster. It is you in your hand. The four fingers of your gloved cohorts trailing behind you. The five of you move in unison as you duck and weave through the city of Mulmaster. You end up at a familiar building. Beautiful platinum gates. Perfect landscaping and architecture. A house that rivals some of the tallest buildings in Mulmaster. The Goss Estate. You sneak through the gates, letting your fellow Demarquesses and Demarquesses follow you through, opening up the chimneyway, allowing the hand to enter. They immediately disperse through the house, blending into the shadows. You feel this effervescent grin pull across the sides of your mouth. The door to your room opens. There's a dark silhouette. It reaches its hand out towards you. You go to grasp it. You expect the dark purple skin of Kurt to embrace your hand. But it's the cool, calculated fingers of Jade Goss. Her hand digs into your forearm. With a monstrous strength, she pulls you in closer. But instead of seeing the blonde hair and green eyes that you share with your mother, you only see your own reflection. A twisted, malevolent reflection of you. How long did you think you could keep this up? Before you were jolted to consciousness. Jove, your dreams are not dreams at all. Once again, you return to that same sensation of flying high above the clouds, seeing the moon sea in a more primordial form. The machinations of mortal men yet to lay claim to this land. You feel that building of energy behind your shoulder blades, down through your chest, erupting from your maw. You feel the energy leave you, but the sensation is numb. You peer down to the Moonsea, and once again see that large army of fire giants, stampeding their way, crushing the land, all falling beneath the feet of their march. And beneath those feet, thousands of scales, hundreds of crushed draconic bodies in their wake. You feel a wrenching in your heart. You feel a wrenching in your whole being. And then there is the anger. As you unleash everything that has been built up in your being, this pure, unadulterated rage. A draconic fire. When the conscious world finally greets you, you swear as you exhale it is not the breath of the morning in the cold, but actual smoke that leaves your lungs. As the four of you all wait, awake in various states of distress, almost simultaneously. Jasper, you wake up with such a start. Freddy, the shock of her sitting straight up and you falling straight back knocks you both to immediate consciousness. As all four of you in different ways, shapes, and form feel that dissonance you receive from coming from intense dreaming to immediate, full, conscious awake. There's that moment of silence. And a quick of Marika. She turns over in her bed. You can see that the barest bits of gray lights beginning to stem in from the entrance of the cave. The morning greets you, party. What would you like to do?
we watch on, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, folks, we only have so much of this river water left. I imagine that once we get closer to the monastery, the conditions are only going to get worse. By my count, we maybe have 6 or so doses left here, so perhaps I don't know. If I'm not mistaken, we're looking at least 3 or 4 more days of traveling. What do you think, Rornak? Does that sound about right? Probably even more if the conditions are terrible, right?
Well, our group's in decent shape, so that helps, but given the storms and everything, yeah, I would probably I'd plan for later rather than sooner.
Rornak, roll me an insight. Jove, roll me a survival.
Because we're also coming from the ice teats, right? That's
You're
where the
coming
bottom
from
of it-
the most south western point of the ice teeth. Luckily, that is where Marika's cave is. Had you hit the other two, you would not have seen her on that day.
Gotcha. And I rolled an 11 for insight.
11 for insight.
14 for survival.
14 for survival. Looking at the hexagon, knowing that at a normal space, I believe you guys can move 4 hexes, barring successful rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Monastery of the Yellow Rose is that immediate square, so you're 8 hexes away from the Monastery of the Yellow Rose. It will be late, but either through fast travel, good rolls, or the endurance to persevere through a late forage into the mountains of the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, you could get there by the end of your second day. Assuredly, if you forego safety and try to get there as fast as possible. But at a normal pace, you might, should you have the strength, be able to get to there by the end of your second day of travel. Meaning you would only need to spend 1 night on the glacier of the White Worm, exposed.
Well, I'd say, yeah, if we push ahead, especially pick up the pace, we might actually be able to get there on the second night and not have to stay out in the open. Could possibly get at a normal pace too, but playing with the elements a bit kind of depends on how things go from there. But it is doable within 2 days, I'd say.
And real quick, DM, after
Yes.
looking at Marika's map, the journey that we're planning, right, isn't like going right through some stupid shit that she told us about.
Yes, there's kind of 3 ways you could approach the Monastery of the Yellow Rose. You could go and hug the Urspur Mountains towards the west. It would take you the longest time to get there because you would effectively need to back travel and then hug that, and you would be able to skip most of the dangers of the Glacier of the White Worm. However, it will take you multiple days. It'll be a lot of days of rough travel, of camping out in the mountains. It's not a guarantee that you won't run into danger, but it is the safe but very slow way to get there. You know that you could get there in the better part of probably 4, maybe 5 days, depending on your speed. You could go along the eastern routes, which in some ways is a short distance. There are more ability to camp effectively out there. You wouldn't be left out in the Glacier of the White Worm. However, that is indeed Frost Giant territory, and from Marika's story, that is Mival territory. The third route, the one that you're currently planning, would be a straight shot through the Glacier of the White Worm, avoiding some of the well-known and better marked Remoraz hatching sites, it is the most direct and fastest route. But you will be in the most danger during your night out on the glacier. That's kind of the best way you can see is to kind of either hug the Urspur Mountains, to hug towards Darmava and Frost Giant territory, or to test your strength out going through the center. Marga has a number of them, crossed out where Rimraz hatchlings are typically located. But it would mean, taking on the brunt of the Glacier of the White Worm.
Hornak, I think I'm with you. I think we should go the most direct route. Yavendel is obviously in trouble, and I fear if we take the safest path, there's even a greater likelihood that harm will befall her if it hasn't already. That being said, if we can truly make it in 2 days, perhaps we give the City Slickers a dose each of the river water for this first day, and then once we successfully camp overnight as we head into the eye of the storm, as we go up towards the monastery, we all take a full dose, and hopefully whatever we do up there solves the worst of the storm, so it won't be as biting on the way back home.
Yeah. I think that's for the best. From what I can judge here, we've got about 6 doses left too, so math works out.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
Then, Freddie, unless you have any qualms with that, Mark, I think we're going to be taking our leave. I have to extend my gratitude to you for coming out with that Rimmeraz piss to help us get out of a sticky situation there. So much thanks for that and your hospitality. I know that gold probably doesn't do much good for you up here, but I feel like I gotta give you at least a little something to show a bit of our gratitude. So Joe's going to take out one of those 4 gemstones that he found in the Falling Star Mine, and he's going to present one to her, and say, I know it's pretty small, but it's from a dwarven mine that we were just in that I was telling you about, and they seem to have a nice polish on them, and I'm sure if you it can be a little bit of a keepsake for you. Reminder of our time together here as we first got to know each other, Summer Strider to Ice Strider.
Okay. Leans down and with as much precision as she can, she always has to get it between the fingernails. Gets it and pops it into her mouth.
Well,
You hear that? You hear a... Huh. That's not bad. Really crunchy. Thanks, Jove.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for being willing to go out and travel and maybe throw a little smoke screen out there for that odd ghostly fellow you were talking about. If we once we find Yavendel up there, if you're amicable to it, we might come back down on our way back towards Mulemaster, just so you can know that Yavendel and the rest of us are doing well.
I'd be happy to see you again, Jove, Summer Strider, and the rest of you. Barring you don't die on your way there, but that goes almost without saying. Almost. One last word of advice before you head on out and I start making my journey. I was thinking about that node, about what you all said and what Yavendel said. If it really is such a big campfire, of, air campfire, what happens to all that fire if you try to put it out? You know what I'm saying? If they really got such a big campfire going, just be careful that you don't let that fire run out of control. You see what I'm saying, Jove?
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying.
Good.
Do our best to be careful.
If I see the storm get any more out of control, well, the only true death is when people forget about us. So as long as I'm still kicking, the memory of you guys half frozen, almost eaten by giant spiders will live on forever.
Marika, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for your hospitality and happy hunting to you.
Happy hunting there, Featherfoot. And Mark gets down low and puts out like the pinky of her hand out to you.
He'll grasp it.
She moves it up and down. You lift up about a foot off the ground, back down. Holds the pinky out to the rest of you.
Jasper will shake it.
Ronak will also shank the shake the
Shank the
not shank.
pinky. You shank Marika on the pinky. She's really fucking mad about it. Roll for initiative.
Well, all right.
It's experience. We'll kill a frost giant.
Yeah. You shake the pinky, Rornak. You each get the same sensation of being lifted about a foot off the ground in the shake. Pinky comes out to you, Freddy.
I shake it, and Johnny runs out and stands on the connection of the hand with the pinky as we shake.
Marika gets her face really close. Is your rat making a face at me? It's so small I can't tell.
He's probably giving you finger guns.
Could you act it out real quick? He's so small I can't see him do all of his things.
Yeah, just put me down,
She puts you down.
and then I give her finger guns.
Oh! Small folk colloquies. Colloquies. Soliloquies. One of those words. Back at ya! And she gives you finger guns. Giant-sized finger guns. Like the snaps she makes,
One
literally,
for
like...
damage, everybody.
Yes!
Yeah, right.
Everybody here, she, like, snaps. It's like, dum, dum, dum. Snap, snap, snap. Johnny, immediately see a little, like, trickle of blood go down one ear. But with that, you guys exit out with Marika. She kind of helps guide you guys out of the ice teeth and towards your path. And the last you see of her is as she steps out into the glacier, the White Worm, facing eastwards. You can see the ice and the snow rise up to meet her body, and it twists and cocoons and freezes and then shatters as her large light blue frost giant form is replaced with a huge blue and white with red and kind of orange bits of lights and veins glistening pulse through her structure as she wild shapes into a Remoraz and heads out to the east. Just for context, an adult-sized Remoraz is usually typically known to be 20 feet by 20 feet.
Jesus.
Hey, that's big.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a giant who can wild shape. So, as Marika begins to head east towards giant territory to cause a ruckus and hopefully draw out Mival and a number of her brethren. We begin another day out into the wilderness, baby. Time for a music change. Because this is less orchestra, more of y'all done muffed up. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go with, I think this is what I was thinking. This is a little too light for winter exploration for my taste. Oh, stop. Something with a little more bass. A little less light notes and haunting. Excellent. So, what is your guys' marching order?
Probably the one we've been using, right? I think it was Jove at the front, Jasper, Freddy, Rornak.
Yeah, I believe
Yes.
You guys tell me. But if that is I believe that is the assumed form. I think that's correct. Since Rornak, I think you are in the back because you have superior movement.
Correct. Yes.
That is the sound we're going for. Excellent. All right. Jove, I am going to need you to make me a survival check. And the first day out, with Marika's map freshly in mind, make this roll at advantage.
Yay. And just to be 100% clear, Freddy and Jasper took a dose each of the river water.
Gotcha.
Nice. That's only a 9.
Only a 9. Understood.
I got a 6 and a 9. Like, come on.
Nice. Wait. Nope, still nice. Nice. All right, you begin pushing your way through the Glacier of the White Worm. The day before, you had the luxury of having the Urspur Mountains for a number of hours during travel to cut through the winds, and then it was a fast push through the Glacier of the White Worm, barring the crevices. Then with Marika's timely intervention, you didn't have to spend too much time across it. However, today is heading directly face first into what you know is the center of the storm. The temperature is beyond frigid. Any exposed bits of skin begin to immediately lose sensation. It feels as though your skin is on fire in what few places are exposed. The wind makes any noise outside of a 10-foot area almost impossible to hear. Joe, for you to speak to Rornak in the back, you have to pass the message along. And there are some places where you guys feel yourself almost get thrown asunder by the winds. Could I have everybody make me a strength saving throw?
Nat 20.
Nat 20.
That's a 21.
21.
It's a 16 for a 15.
15. Wow. Hot roll.
12.
12. Luckily, the DC is 12. There are moments where you feel your party about to be ripped apart from the wind, shunted to different directions and separated, but you're all able to hold on to one another. Though you worry, the farther you go in, the winds will only get stronger, and your likelihood of being separated ever increases. Jove, let me get that second survival check.
Okay.
This time without advantage.
There we go. 19.
19. You continue to press forward, falling further and further south toward the Monastery of the Yellow Rose. There are brief moments where the storm stops, almost as if a wave of storm, almost like a pulse, goes out, and you get a clear shot. You can see just the jagged yet and smooth in some areas expanse of the glacier in all directions. Beautiful and white. Clean. Everything blanketed by this amount of snow. None of it disturbed or touched just for the moment. And you can see miles and miles to the south of you the tall peak where the monster of the Yellow Rose sits. You can see almost this halo effect around it. Just for a moment before it is obscured by the winds once more. As you begin to move further and further forward. Joe, make me a dexterity saving throw.
I shall. Nice. That is a 24.
24. You feel something barrel into the sides of your legs. You roll off the top of it and keep your feet. And boom, 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 boom. You see that you have rolled over the top of what appears to be a young polar bear cub. It rolls itself off, shakes some of the snow off of it. Sniffs the air, sniffs you.
Jove is going to use one of his... it's a class feature, I forgot what it's called, but use my Speak with Animals. I'm going to cast Speak with Animals. And he'll say... Hey there, little buddy. Sorry about that. We didn't mean no harm. Is your mama close by?
Roll me a persuasion check.
That's an 8.
The polar bear cub's whole attention shoots to you, like as if somebody had just slapped it, as this creature it has never seen before begins speaking in polar bear to it. There's that moment of like you ask and it makes eye contact with you and it tenses up and then you just hear, Mom! The rest of you hear a, as you see barreling out from the snow a full-sized and very concerned mother polar bear. I'm gonna need everybody to roll for initiative.
Oh,
17 in it. 12 in it.
Narrowly avoided the crit fail.
Oh.
What happened to my polar bear stats? There's my polar bear stats.
10 health. There we go.
Brings me my polar bear stats.
Honey, where are my polar bear stats? What? Where are my polar bear stats? And that's extra funny because Frozone.
No.
God.
+1 for the
I-
DM.
I wasn't even thinking there.
I know. Alright. Okie dokie. That would go. One, two. Jave. Uh-huh. Okie dokie. At the start of this is that polar bear cub. That polar bear cub did not like any of what you had to say, Joe, because it is a very scary creature. So does a 13 do?
No, he holds up his shield.
But does an 18 do?
An 18 just does.
It tries to bite you quickly after running into you. It tries to take a quick bite and you put your shield up, and it tries to swat away the shield and catches you in the arm and does 7 points of slashing damage.
Ouchie.
For context, a polar bear cub is the same size as a full-grown male.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yes. This is not a small creature that, like Jove, you towered over. This is a creature that, on all fours, is about as tall as you are. It is a cub by their standards. By your standards, this is a full-size fucking bear. However, its size pales in comparison to its mother. However, it is not its mother's turn, as a second polar bear cub slams in directly behind Jove. I believe that's you, Jasper. Jove, you would hear in polar bear the words, "Stay away from my sister!" Jasper, I don't believe a 9's going to do.
It won't.
But what about a 20?
That well, yeah.
No. That's minimum. That's maximum. Average once more. 7 slashing damage.
Okay.
Then it is Jove.
Fuck. Yeah. I mean, wild animals doing wild animal stuff. He'll just say, well, I guess he'll let the spear talk for him at first. He's gonna go ahead and just do a. He'll break out the Electrum Spear and take one stab at the one in front of him. That's going to be for a 19.
A 19. That'll do.
Okay, he'll go ahead and use one of his favored foe uses for the day to add the D4. First one gonna be for 7 piercing.
7 piercing, you got it.
And then just he'll just keep saying, like, get back, and try to, like, make himself big and seeing if he can intimidate this bear. But Jove also kind of knows that that's probably not going to be the case. Nevertheless, he'll throw that second hit for 21.
Yeah, that'll hit.
For nice.
For nice.
For 10 piercing.
10. Yeah, you drive your spear into this polar bear cub, and after it slices open part of your arm, you give one stab and say, "Get back." The polar bear does not. As you put a second stab into its body, you can see steam and in this light, what is like, since it's been nothing but like white and gray for hours and hours and days, the most vibrant color of red you've seen in days splashes against the snow.
Yeah, and then Jove will retreat to he'll stay put, but get back into a defensive position and be looking at this thing. And I don't think I'm going to use anything for bonus action.
All right.
Yeah,
as you
that's for sure.
stand your ground, Rornak.
All right. Rornak doesn't speak polar bear and sees 2 polar bears coming at us. So
Yeah,
he's
for
gonna
you, Rornak, you've just seen one polar bear cub yell, a full-size polar bear cub begin to charge, and a second polar bear cub take a claw out of your friend Jasper. The rest of you guys are only hear wild animal sounds. Jove, you're hearing a rather disconcerting amount of calls for parents and moms.
Rornak will go to catch the one that is approaching right now. So he will move up to that one.
Absolutely, yeah.
I assume it's within range, right?
Yes. You with your full 40 feet of movement speed, because monks, you're able to get forward and put yourself in front of this now charging polar bear mother bear.
Gotcha. And
The
Rornak
sequel to
will...
the famous Brother Bear movie. Just kidding. That's a different named one.
It's got a banger song though, that Brother Bear. But nonetheless, 2 attacks coming that way. That is for a 13.
13.
Or
That'll do.
actually, I'm sorry, that's a 14. But
A
that
14 does even better.
Cool. And yeah, that definitely hits. That's a 25.
Yeah, 25 will
So,
hit.
all right, he will pull out good old Earzarn and make 2 strikes. And that is going to be for... That's for 18 slashing total. And he will burn a key point for patient defense.
All right.
And that is all for Rornak, as he holds his ground there.
You got it. Then would be Mama Bear. And Rornak, I'm gonna just tell you right now that Mama Bear did not like any of that.
No, I don't imagine she did.
No, and she's pretty fucking mad about it. So you're taking 2.
All right.
It's only an 8. Oh, wait, that needs to be a disadvantage, so that will count those 2. 7 and a 4. That's not going to do. Oh, there's the nat 20.
Oops.
The other one's a 14. 14 plus 7. 21.
Definitely hits, but not the nat, thankfully.
Great. The bite is easy to dodge. It's the claws, considering that the typical adult polar bear has claws that are as long and as sharp as short swords. All right. 4, 8. That is 13 points of slashing damage.
Phew.
Yes, as this mother bear who is going into blind mom rage at this point, the animal instinct and maternal instincts begin to kick over. Seeing Jove put 2 spear points into her cub, and then Rornak, you now putting yourself in between, tears into part of the flesh, trying to push you back, getting ever closer to her children. Jasper.
Okay. I still have one on me, correct?
Yes, you do indeed.
I think she is going to. Now that we've had that discussion about me not being able to use that sword with one hand, she's gonna pull out her axe and shield. And attack with that.
Go ahead, attack the cub.
14 to hit.
14 will hit.
Dope. That's gonna be 8 magical slashing.
8 slashing, you got it. You cut into the second cub.
I think she's gonna utilize mobile to move over without an opportunity attack and flank the one that's attacking Rory.
You got it. Then
That's it.
it is Freddy.
Hit me. I'm gonna cast Fairy Fire in a way that I can best hit all of the bears while hitting the least amount of allies.
To hit the most bears and least amount of allies. What's the range on this one? It's the 20-foot cube?
Cube, yeah.
See, because there's one in front, directly in front of Jove, and then 5 feet behind him was Jasper, and to her right 5 feet was that one, and then 10 feet ahead of that was over there for... Ooh, this one is difficult. You could hit all of the bears, but you will hit all your party members, and there's no clever way to get this one. You could get the bear in front of Jove. You could get the bear that was attacking your sister, but if you want to get the bears, all 3 of your allies are probably going to have to make the roll. You might be able to save Jove, but you'll miss the other polar bear cub. This one's a hard. They're really right all on top of each other. You could probably get the cubs and miss everybody but Jasper, since she went all the way to the back. But Rory and Jove, since they're right up against those 2 creatures. This one's going to be hard.
Yeah, I'll just hit everybody then.
All right.
I feel like my party members have decent decks.
Everybody and the 3 bears will make dexterity saving throws.
Bears.
Cub, that's a 4. Cub, that's a 9. Mama, that's a 5.
I got a
So
19.
they're all lit, and you're not.
18.
You're not.
That a roll on specifically?
Dex.
Dexterity saving throw.
Oh, Dex save. That is a 14.
I believe my save is yep, 14. So you
Oof.
save as well.
All right.
So you all avoid it. So they are all lit up, and they shed dim light for 10-foot radius, and attack rolls against them have advantage. And then I'm going to, as my bardic inspiration, just shout out, just get them a little weaker, and I'm gonna go ahead and try and sleep them next turn. Not next turn. In a minute. Just wake them up a bit, and I'll try and put them to sleep, and then we can just get out of here. And Jasper gets a Johnny.
During this fight, Rornak, as you have unleashed Irzarn against this polar bear, as blows have been struck to the cubs, all of them kind of let out this same howl. And to Jove, you only hear one word. And if it weren't for the fact that these are full-sized polar bears in the middle of a glacier, this would almost seem storybook-esque, as they all yell out for Papa. And everybody go ahead and roll me a perception check for me real quick.
20.
18.
Well,
Catchphrase.
The laps are focused on the task at hand, but Rornak and Joe, ever being the more perceptive of the party, hear off in the distance a very loud I can't quite get the tone on this one right. Not as good as the way easier to do land sharks. But I'm sure you can figure out what kind of noise I'm trying to make here. So, back at the top is that cub who really does not like you guys getting up on the mama. Is going to move from you, Jove, and leave your area of attack.
We'll go ahead and do the attack of opportunity.
with advantage.
With advantage.
Oh, and I crit fail. Oh no, what should I do? Okay, that is for a 16.
16 will hit.
Beautiful. And that is going to be for... that's going to be for 12 piercing.
How do you want to do this?
Oh man. Yeah, as it starts to turn tail and run, Jove has seen creatures do this move before, and he just goes straight into the back haunches, trying to get to the back of the leg and really going for an artery, and goes in deep and really drives it through and pushes it to the ground, and just kind of whispers almost more to himself, and says, "Didn't have to be like this."
Well, that's one cub. Cub number 2 was gonna go assist the mom bond, but well, sees sister going for 2 on you, Jove. Natural 20.
Oof.
Natural fucking 20.
Gross.
Wow. Polar bear cub. Polar bear cub. All right, that is. The bite does 13 points of piercing damage. The claw, as I'll just describe this as this polar bear cub goes full Kodak, does like the 2 like on hind legs and gets up taller than Jove does, and just brings full claws, full weight, and with a meaty bite, Jove, you feel the teeth pierce parts of your skull. You can feel the blood rushing down. This heat that you haven't felt since you left Marika's, as it breathes and your blood begins to drop down your face. As you also receive slashing damage of... Oh, that's double max roll. 18 points of slashing damage.
Ouch. Right, that's a lot.
You would notice the distinct change of, even in bear, they're no longer using words. However, it is your turn, Jove.
As he feels that heat coming down from his head, he can't help but feel that anger. And we didn't talk about it, but I imagine that Aquila is still probably kind of distant and dormant at this point.
Very much like when the Pharaoh does not want to talk to Yugi.
Yeah. So he, even though he can't feel her presence as aptly as normal, he draws on that bit of rage that is there. And he'll burn a second level, use a bonus action, and do a Searing Smite on this motherfucker. That
No,
did...
he's coming to the fight. Motherfucker's not here yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and... Yeah. So, he still has Fairy Fire on.
Indeed, with advantage.
Advantage. Oh, so close to greatness. That is a 26.
Well, close to greatness, still great.
Still great. Still great. So we're looking at those 2 extra 6. Nice. Ooh, okay, so that is 10 fire and 6 piercing.
10 fire, 6 piercing.
16.
Gotcha.
And then we'll... So that kind of like the white hot phosphorus tip on the Electrum spear punches a hole in this thing and kind of, I imagine, like cauterizes the wound as it comes back out. And Jove will go for that same exact spot twice. So the second follow-up
With advantage.
Yet again.
Once more.
That is a 26. All set hits. This doesn't have any extra sauce on it. Use Piercer to reroll. Okay, better than a 1 is 5 piercing.
How do you want to do this?
Oh, sweet. Yeah, so he just does that like cauterizing wound right in like the center of mass of this thing that had bitten down on his head. as he pulls it back out. He's just going to go for that wound, but kind of at a different angle, almost like he's trying to like create this like concave space in this thing's chest just to bleed it out at the center of mass. So he does just that, and with a cruel wedge is able to really make this thing leak. And
You feel a popping sensation in the chest of this creature, as if you've just pierced a water balloon.
and as he kind of guides it to the ground with the spear still in it, so he doesn't have it fall on top of him, Jove will yell out that the Papa Bear's coming, and he'll swing around just to kind of get after taking such a mighty wound, just to kind of get his bearings of where his teammates are and everything, and have his head on a swivel. And besides that, that's going to be his turn.
Gotcha. Rornak.
Alrighty. Rornek is going to continue strike here at this polar bear because Mama Bear hits hard, so we gotta finish this now if possible. So, and I believe that's still with advantage because that is very fire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, 2 attacks coming. All right, that is a not natural 20 for the first hit.
Okay, hit.
Woo! Rolled a crit fail and and then a 2 after that, so that's a 10 total.
That's not gonna do.
Will not do. That is fair and understandable. I will use another key point for flurry of blows here, so we'll take 2 more unarmed strikes.
All right.
All right, that's a 22 to hit on the first one. Nat 20 on the second.
There
Yes.
we go.
Beautiful.
Return to sender.
Okay. Okay, so that is going to be that is 14 magical slashing on with Earzarn, and then I will roll for the unarmed strikes. So with the unarmed strikes, that is going to be another 18 bludgeoning damage.
How do you want to do this?
Oh man. It's just like, again, avoiding that bite was easy, but after that slash, like Rornak just kind of knows, like, okay, I have to end this basically here and now, and it's just, with the good arm he has left, it's just coming back in this long sweeping slash with Earzarn, using all his strength that he can to just jagged slash through it, to the point where it likely gets stuck. And from there, Rornak would just take both hands and just essentially try and like, I imagine with it, he's like trying to basically like crush the skull. And with that last squeeze and the crit on that one, he's able to finally make purchase as it goes limp.
Fun fact, per square inch and far as density goes, bears have some of the hardest skulls in the animal kingdom. The fact that you've watched Rornak just crush one with his bare body, pun very much intended, is an incredible feat. You usually have to wait until the bear is dead and you've let the bones have all the meat come off of them, and then you could take a hammer to it and start cracking through a bear skull. To do it while it's still alive with the flesh still intact is a feat of insane strength. But Rornak does it nonetheless. All right, Rornak, what else you got?
With that one down, Rornak will use his movement speed to head back to the party. So he'll head back towards where Jove is, because he did hear him calling out. So he'll go and regroup.
Yeah, move the 10 feet back and go side by side with Jove.
Yep, and that'll be all for him.
All right. Jasper, you go first.
What's my nearest bear?
Right now, make me a perception check. With
This guy does
disadvantage.
everything but Papa Bear.
Great. 3.
Right now, you see a whole lot of dead bears.
Okay.
You see like the little bits of light beginning to leave their forms as they go from a living creature to technically an object.
Still shedding light.
Still shedding light.
I think she relaxes and then looks around at her party who are not relaxing and then goes back into battle mode. And we'll just use a dodge action and her turn.
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's roll for this real fast. You got it, Dice. Freddy, your turn.
I did not hear Papa Bear coming.
No.
So, I mean, I just kind of chill out.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Joe.
Jove,
Yeah, you
are
first.
you okay?
And you you just see him looking around, drenched in his own blood and probably polar bear blood, and just say, "Where's Papa?"
That's a weird thing to call me, but I can give you healing if you want, and I'll approach him and I will use a healing spell on him.
Go ahead, give me some flavor.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna
Especially in the middle, knowing that we're in the middle of like a huge snowstorm and everything. Like winds whipping around, dead bears everywhere, and multicolored lights.
Yeah, I'm still in that like post-battle like adrenaline is still just shooting through me, so like I'm just trying to calm myself down and I walk over to him and like, "Here you go." And just play a cute little tune like he does. And the minty greens come out. Go through his hand and he touches you and you get 9 points of healing.
Nice.
Gotcha. Speaking of Jove.
Jove is going to utter a quick thanks, and he's going to get a javelin out and kind of scan the area. Does he hear a Papa Bear anywhere?
Roll me a perception check.
That's a crit fail, but we all know my catchphrase. That's going to be my passive for 17.
Nothing. Just the sound of the howling winds. The sound of snow being turned up and thrown around by the storm. You can hear the bear spits of Freddy say, "Weird thing to call me Papa." And that kind of minty, wintry green, take away some of the pain and you're looking out, but it's that, like, it's so loud it's quiet type of deal, where, like, you're back to back with your 4 parties. There's nothing but wind swirling around you. You can only hear the howling of it, knowing something is stalking you.
Yeah, I imagine that the winter minty greens is kind of just like some smelling salts, especially after taking such a mighty wound against a fucking creature, which is just always more brutal in my mind than just getting like stabbed.
Oh yeah, because it put a full, just that, in a way that you didn't understand fully until you were bonded with Aquila, what an animalistic rage really is.
And having almost been made prey to the baby of what's coming, he is hyper vigilant, and having heard the wails, I guess we'll just hold an action for throwing a javelin whenever he can. See that thing coming to within 30 feet.
All right. Rornak.
Yeah, Rornak will continue to hold where he is, he doesn't notice where the bear is now either.
Go ahead and make me a perception check.
Yeah, that's the passive 12, so it does not.
Same as Jove. Howling winds. You briefly hear, Papa, from Freddy.
Yeah, Rornak. We'll stay side by side with Jove here, and we'll hold an action to attack any polar bears or creatures that come up close to him. So he just kind of surveys.
You got it. Jasper.
And where's the Papa Bear?
Make me a perception check.
Oy. Catchphrase.
Same as Freddy, or same as Rornak and Jove. You have headed back over to your party, and you distinctly hear your brother say, "We're calling me Papa," which almost breaks your concentration for a second because your brother in his entire life has never called anything or anyone Papa. No, it's always been your dad, or when he's trying to make a point, Father. Never Papa.
Hey, run that one by me again, Freddy.
Called me Papa. He said, "Where's Papa?" Looking for some healing. I said, "It's a weird thing to call me Papa."
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
That's what I said.
You just see Jove just like javelin hoisted over his head, just eyes to the, just looking, staring directly into the snow, looking just fucking wild as all get out.
You alright there? Joe?
And yeah, he doesn't really. He's got that battle-hardened look that you've become well aware of. That he is in his focus, knowing that at any moment he could have to let loose this javelin in his hand. So like, doesn't take much to see that he feels that danger is still present.
She'll walk over beside him and get her axe ready for anything that comes within range, and that'll be it.
As Jasper, you take the stance next to Jove, creating this kind of three-person line of like Rornak, Jove, Jasper, and directly behind Jove, Freddy. You look out into kind of the swirling storm and try to find out where Jove's focus is, and you try to look to him to see where he's focusing, and he keeps darting side to side. You look over to Rornak, and it's this awful kind of feedback loop of the three of you aren't exactly sure where exactly to focus your attention at. Freddy in the back just watching the three of them just all get real weird about this whole Papa thing. Speaking of which, Freddy, it's your move.
So are we gonna get going, or are we gonna harvest the bodies, get some food? I feel like we could get some good eats out of them. Can we do something?
Freddy, the storm continues to swell. It feels like it closes in closer and closer. You feel your visibility getting smaller and smaller. The cold whips around, howls through your ears. But the only sound you can hear right now is the thumping of your own heart. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Ooh.
Well, an adventure into the Glacier of the White Worm. Truly one of the most inhospitable environments we have ever gone in for the campaign. Not just this campaign, but both of my campaigns. Let's say goodnight to chat.
Good night, chat.
Hey, night,
Night
chat.
chat.
Good night, chat. Thank you so much. We will be back next Sunday for part 3 of the Eye of the Tempest. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Sorry that the opening part didn't have the screen up correctly. You just watched there being like, why isn't there sound or anything? I can see they're talking. My mistake. Sorry you had to see that one. I'll take blame on that. But peace in the Middle East. Much love, my friends, and we will see you next Sunday. Buenos nachos.